Good morning, folks. So I got the Tesla back from Tesla service. Last video I was talking about the issues I was having with air suspension, and you saw in that video, if you watched it, how it was setting really low in the front. So my appointment was initially for July 1st, which was like 2 weeks away. I had messaged Tesla service, asked them, since I wasn't going to be driving the vehicle anyway, if I could just bring it in and leave it, and if they could just try to work it in sometime before the 1st. So I wasn't waiting another 2 weeks to get it in there. The guy said, yeah, just go ahead and bring it in and drop it off. So I dropped it the next day, and they were able to get right to it that same day. So, last video I said the initial estimate was $740. That they said it needed a valve block for the air suspension. Didn't think that was terrible. Was prepared for that. Not a big deal. So, later on that same day, I get a message saying that it was also, let's see, valve block for the air suspension. So let's see, it ended up, so the phone call, he said it also was going to need a front spring modular, and I think something else. Maybe that was it on that second phone call, which brought it up to like $1,500. And I was like, really? $1,500? I was like, go ahead and do it. I need my car. It's got to be done. I can't drive it. So I approved that estimate. Then the next day, or maybe it was later on that day, the vehicle was in the shop a total of 2.5 days, something like that. So I get a call from him again telling me that still was not correcting the issue. I'm trying to look at this because all of it looks to be just repeating stuff. I'm just trying to look and see what all it needed. The valve block, see, the dog fee was $210. Valve block was $277. To replace, parts replaced and added was $122. Let's see, $63 to perform a post-repair valuation test drive. So they charge $63 to test drive the vehicle to make sure that it's operating properly, and I guess to make sure that they're doing their work. I work at a body shop. Honestly, I don't really understand, being charging a customer a fee to test drive their vehicle to make sure that the vehicle is performing properly after the repairs, and to make sure that you are doing done your repairs correctly. I think that should be part of the whole repair. But anyway, at the body shop I work at, we charge, I think, $100-something for a pre and post scan, which is when the vehicle comes into the body shop for the repairs, we scan it because usually there's all kinds of warning lights on, blah blah blah. So we do the pre-scan to see what those lights all mean, and then after the work is completed, we run the scan again to make sure if there are any lights still on, to see why they're still on and get those lights to go off. So yeah, again, I think that should be part of the repair, but it is what it is. So let's see. $63 for that. Compressor air suspension remove and replace was $152. Air suspension compressor, so it needed a compressor, $255. And then air suspension modular, $226. And then an air suspension. Front air suspension modular. So there was another one that was, I don't know why that one's so much more than the other, but $990 for that. So basically, what it ended up being when all said and done was $2,520. I was not ready for that. I was a little bit surprised, a little shocked at that. But yeah, it had to be done. I needed to get my car back. Honestly, when I got that second phone call, I was like, you know what, just don't worry about it. Screw it. I'm just going to get rid of the vehicle. And he's like, it's really not safe to drive that way, blah, blah, blah. And I live an hour and a half away from the Tesla service center. And it didn't feel that safe. And it was a very rough, bumpy ride. And especially drive it that far away and then have to drive it that far back home. And then again, for the set. I would probably, I don't know what I was thinking at the time. I was just so upset about it. I was like, anyway, I just approved the work to get it done. I need to get the car back. So, while it was there, one of my third seats, I think I said something about it in the last video, one of the third seats, you guys know, if you have the third row seat, there are two individual seats that go up and down, separately. One of mine, I folded it down in our last move and it won't fold back up. So I asked the guy if they could see if they could get that up without having to charge me anything. See if it was just something simple, easy, maybe something was just stuck in it and it was keeping it from raising up, whatever. But if they could get it up without having to charge me anymore, since I was already paying over $2,500 for this repair, to do it. So I get a message back saying that it would be another $210 dog fee to check the seat. I'm like, no, don't worry about it. I don't need that third row seat at the moment. And if we do need it, we'll just deal with it, basically just being a 5-seat. So we have 2 other vehicles. If we need to carry that many people, there's 2 other vehicles. So anyway, so that's what it came down to. The car is fixed now at a cost of $2,520. So I don't know if anyone else. This is a 2017. It is getting old. It has almost 100,000 miles on it. I really wasn't surprised, but again, I was hoping it was only going to be the $740 or at the most $1,000, and it ended up being $2,500. It is what it is. The car's back, and so there it is. But speaking of that third row seat, if any of you guys have had an issue with your third row seat not wanting to come back up and you've resolved that yourself, let me know how you resolve that, so maybe I can fix it. Again, it's not that big a deal, but I rarely use that third row seat anymore. Both seats are folded down right now just because I don't like having the one up and the one down. So yeah, if you guys have any suggestions on how to fix that, please let me know. But Tesla service, all in all, was a good experience. I've never really had any bad experiences with Tesla service. I've never even had to use Tesla service that much. So there it is. A lot of people will like to know how Tesla service went. It, it was pretty good for me, especially since they were willing to work me in, and they got the vehicle in the same day that I dropped it off for them to work it in. I could still be waiting another week just to get it in there to get it officially checked out. So yeah, let me talk about something else. Range. This is a 2017 Model X 90D with almost 100,000 miles, and the range is really starting to drop in this. And let's see, at fully charged, when I charge it at home up to 100%, I'm getting maybe 220 miles of range on a full charge when it says, which, you know, that's not going to be what you're actually going to get when you get out and drive in the real world. You're not going to get that 200. Let's see. So yeah, but I charge it to 90% normally, because I don't need it at 100% on a day-to-day basis. So at 90% charging at home, when I get in the car, it's 198 199 miles of range. So by the time I drive my hour and a half commute to work, hour and a half commute home, it could range anywhere from me having, say, 45 miles left to yesterday when I brought it back home from Tesla service, not yesterday, day before, on Friday, I actually had more than I normally have ever had. I had like 60 miles. So it ranges from 45 to like 60 miles of range when I get back home. So I guess it isn't bad. I have plenty to get me to work and get me home, but if I need to do any kind of errands or whatever before coming home, sometimes that could be a little bit of a struggle. There have been times where it has been like 40 miles and I just come on home, especially if it's a errand that I can go out and do later. I'll just come home, let it charge for a little bit, or like we're going out to dinner. I usually get home around 5 o'clock. We don't go to dinner till 5:30, 6 o'clock. So I'll plug the car in. Time we leave, it's got plenty of charge to go to dinner and come back home. That's typically what I do. But if necessary, again, we have two other vehicles to drive. One is my son's old ass F-150 that me and my husband would not drive. We would if we absolutely have to, but would not. That kid, this is his third vehicle we've gotten him, and he's turned 17 next month. So we bought his first vehicle for him at 15, a little Honda Fit, great little car for him to learn how to drive on. When he got his driver permit, and it was a car we were initially buying for him just to drive all through high school, and then maybe even to college. So we wanted him to be familiar with that vehicle by the time he got his learner's permit, and then when he got his learner's permit, we could get out on the roads and he's familiar with the vehicle. And then when he turned 16, he was really familiar with the vehicle, and when he got out on the road by himself, he knew the car. Let's see, before he even got his learner's permit, he decided he would like to learn how to drive a stick shift car, a manual. And I was like, I'm cool with that. Most kids these days don't know how to drive a manual. So I was like, but we need to sell the Honda and use that money to buy a car, another car. And that's what we did. We sold that Honda like within an hour to another couple that had a kid they were buying it for. Found this, and this, I think this is probably in some other videos, but bought him this really cool little 97 BMW Z3 Roadster convertible. 5-speed, great shape. He absolutely loved the car. Picked up on driving a manual pretty quickly. And And then Tommy got his driver's license. He was good to go in it and driving all over the place in it without any issues. And then decided, you know what, I want a truck. So, which I'm like, you know, you've had this BMW that you love, and you actually got in a little wreck in it that he paid to get fixed. It wasn't totaled. We didn't turn it into the insurance because it wasn't too bad. It needed a hood, a couple of headlights, and that was pretty much it. Insurance would have just totaled it anyway because it was so old. But I found the parts, again, working at a body shop. The guys I know there worked on it for a little bit of nothing, painted it for a little bit of nothing, and got it back together and looked brand new. So, but then turns around and is like, I want a truck now. I'd like to have a truck. I was like, okay, again, we're going to have to sell this BMW to be able to buy your truck. And told him, we're not going to be able to get much out of this BMW to be able to buy you another vehicle, buy you a truck that's even worth having. So, is what it is. We sold the BMW, bought a truck, actually had to put in a little of our own money to get this truck for him. And honestly, this kid has started complaining about the truck. And it's an old truck. I believe it's a 97, 98, I can't remember. So an old truck. That's all we had the money for. We weren't going to put in that much more money for him to get something really nice. And he does not know how to save money because, again, I've told him multiple times, if you want another vehicle, save up your money to put with what we get out of selling the vehicle, and which he didn't do. So this is what it got him, and now he's just been complaining about it. And me and my husband just don't want to drive it. It's not, honestly, not a bad looking truck. It's not beat up and rough shape or anything like that, but I just have concerns with it breaking down. And he's been driving it all over the place, and so far it hasn't broke down. But again, I've told him, you need to be saving money. You know this truck needs some things. You need to be saving your money to get these repairs done on it. Hasn't done it, so I'm just waiting. Matter of fact, a couple weeks ago I told him, it's like, you're going to get out and be driving this truck, and it's going to break down, and it's going to need to be towed to a shop, and you're not going to have the money to pay for the tow bill, which means we're going to have to pay for it. And then but it will sit until you have the money to fix it. You guys, if you guys have kids and have teenagers, you know how it is. So anyway, enough of the rambling about my kid and his vehicles. Maybe we shouldn't have bought him 3 vehicles before he's ever 17 years old. That's our bad. But they're not new vehicles. Working at the shop I work at, it's in a really nice area. We get a lot of kids in there that bring in their really nice brand new vehicles that their parents have bought them that they've wrecked. So we'd rather buy him some old vehicle for him to end up wrecking than some brand new vehicle that he ends up wrecking. So yeah. Anyway, Tesla's back. That was the deal with it. The air suspension, I had to have this and that and the other done to it. Cost $2,520. So, have any questions? Hit me up in the comments. Let me know. Like, subscribe. Still working on this channel. It's my bad. I suck at posting videos on a regular basis. So, anyway, let me know, guys, especially about that third row seat issue. Thanks a lot.